Hey everybody, it's Jenny. Normally I would start this series with a video on the basics of HVAC systems, and I will have that video up next week. But I wanted to take a minute, because Earth Day was last week, and talk about HVAC systems in general and what they do and how they affect people and the environment. Almost every time when I talk to someone about what I do who doesn't work in the industry, and I tell them I'm in commercial HVAC, they almost always say, well, that must be great in Texas in the summertime. And I don't know if it's because I'm in Texas or not, but I think a lot of people, probably the general public for sure, only think of HVAC systems as something that keeps you cool in the summer. They forget about the H, heating, all the time, and they probably don't even know about the V, ventilation in the systems. So I take a couple minutes and talk about how HVAC systems affect us beyond just cooling us in the summer. Earth Day was last Friday, and I wrote an article on how to celebrate Earth Day HVAC style. I'll put a link to that down below. The first Earth Day was in 1970. Leading into the 1970s, energy was cheap, and the HVAC industry's primary focus was on making people comfortable. ASHRAE technical committees were focused on human comfort, and HVAC systems were designed to control temperature and humidity and make the occupants happy. Then in 1973, the energy crisis hit, and people were waiting in line to get gasoline based on whether their license plate ended in an odd or even number. This resulted in the dictate to turn down or turn off equipment to save energy, and launched an industry-wide effort to redesign and invent energy-saving products. New energy standards were enacted as building owners started looking at their buildings in an effort to reduce their energy usage, and systems like variable air volume systems and the associated thermal units and controls came out of this, as did fiberglass duct systems. On top of all that, scientists were finding that chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs, might be dangerous to the ozone layer. And people were noticing that nonspecific symptoms were being reported by tenants in newly constructed buildings, later coined sick building syndrome. People were realizing that HVAC systems cost us energy and affected the environment and people's health. This really marked the end of HVAC just being about keeping people cool in the summer. People weren't really willing to give up the comfort aspects of HVAC, so we knew as an industry that we had to grow and evolve. Even with this focus on energy reduction, it still takes a lot of energy to heat and cool the built environment. Buildings are responsible for about 40% of the U.S. energy use and almost 40% of the CO2 emissions worldwide. Plus, 50% of the buildings in the U.S. were built between 1960 and 1999, meaning that it's not just enough to address energy efficiency in new construction, retrofitting is important as well. That leads to the important HVAC considerations of today. Decarbonization, electrification, new refrigerants, and improved filtration are just a few ways that we can design better buildings today. And we do all of this while still maintaining the comfort of the occupants. So to me, this industry is much more about making people comfortable. It's also about the health and well-being of people and the environment.